Congressman, we didn't even get that other one through the system yet, and now a new one?
Well, Neil, I know we're all going to be up late tonight watching the president, and he's our new president, but there was some unfinished work from last year, 10 appropriation bills that weren't finished. This is just wrapping up last year's business. It is $410 billion, and I would tell you that only $10 billion of it is earmarks as far as I know, but the reality of it is that it's the normal budgeting for the federal government that needed to be done, and there are some increases, but I think it's well within the line. I think 2 weeks ago people were saying it was going to be a $500 billion bill.
Well, I tell you, Congress, I don't know what this says of our moment in history here, where we say only $10 billion in earmarks. I guess we'll have to judge that down the road. But, you know, if Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke is right, he could be wrong, but if he's right, and we're going to be out of this by the end of the year, we could be spending like crazy needlessly, right?
Well, look, I think that the Fed chair today laid out where we are as best as he can tell, and I think that hopefully he's very right. And I was happy to see the market move up today, but the market is just one indicator. We need to see millions of Americans back to work. We need to see a stop in the 10,000 or so foreclosures a day.
But if he's right, Congressman, and that process might, and you're right, might be beginning, then wouldn't we want to keep our powder a little dry to address something like that down the road? Let's first see how the nearly $800 billion in stimulus you guys already voted on courses through the system. Let's see what could be at least that, and then some for another financial rescue courses through the system. I mean, you know, $100 billion here, $100 billion there. This is serious change, right?
Well, I know you're a big fan of the Fed chair, and one of the things that he said, because he studied the Great Depression, is the worst thing that the government can do is do too little. But this is not a stimulus. This is the normal appropriations bills that would have passed in September. President Bush and the Congress could not work out an agreement. This is funding for the Secret Service. This is funding for the Justice Department. I'm on the Justice Department Appropriations Committee. This is funding for FBI agents and
well,
DEA
you know, you
agents.
might be right, but I got to show you. Yeah, you might say normal, Congressman, but you know, I know a lot of Democrats say, you waste your time talking about all the other stuff, but look at some of this stuff here. You know, you've got money set aside to stop bullying, which I guess is always handy. You've got stuff here that really is pork and earmark pork at that. And regardless of what component is it, and you say it's only $10 billion cumulatively, do we need this? Do we need this at a time we're telling Americans you got to suck it up and pay it up to get this economy going?
Well, you know, look, I'm sure Fox News could do. You could do the whole 24-hour segment but you got a few other people who do shows. This is a deal in which you got 535 members of Congress by constitutional mandate have to put together the appropriation bills. There is
Congressman, let me tell you something. This is bipartisan. We ripped excessive government spending when the last president, Republican I believe, first came last September and said he had a $700 billion financial rescue. We cited that, warned about that, said we were going to get into deep doo-doo, keep doing stuff like that, and we're still in deep doo-doo, and we're getting in deeper. And wow. you don't seem to care, and you seem to think there's going to be a bang for the buck here, and there might very well be, sir. But sometimes isn't the better part of valor, step back, watch what you've done, see if you get a payback for what you've done.
Neil, I voted for a balanced budget. I've seen one here when we were in the Clinton years. We balanced the budget. We paid down the national debt. I voted for that, and I voted to cut hundreds of programs. Right now, we're just talking about moving a funding bill through to fund the basic operations of the government. The stimulus bill we felt was necessary. We'll be judged. And if we were wrong, you know, I'm sure that we'll be condemned. But the reality is that the Democratic Party is now in the majority. We have a president, a House, a Senate.
I'm well aware of that, but the Republicans, sir, lost their majority because they spent like drunken sailors, which, by the way, is an insult to sailors because at least that's their money. But now you're repeating you're repeating their sins. And I'm just saying, a lot of folks at home watching this right now, Republican, Democrat, red, blue, plaid, purple, chartreuse, they're all looking at this and saying, you know what, this is getting old, this dog don't hunt, stop hunting.
When Bill Clinton got elected, we had the House and the Senate. We lost both the House and the Senate 2 years later, mainly because the Democratic Party did not move forward, I believe, on the agenda that had won that election, which was health care reform. We're going to move forward. Now, there'll be an election and there'll be an accounting. I think the Democratic Party to this moment is very proud of its record. We've expanded health care to millions of children. We've required equal
Congressman,
pay for
all I'm
women
saying, I'm
in the
not taking
workforce.
anything away from your hard work, and I know you do work hard. I'm just saying, why don't you look at what you've done thus far and wait to see if it bears fruit before you keep piling onto it?
We're going to do like the passengers in that plane that landed in the Hudson. We got a pilot. His name is Barack Obama. He's the president of the United States. We're going to follow his lead. He wants us to get last year's work out of the way. We're going to do that with this vote this week on last year's appropriation bills. And then we're going to get to work on the new set of rules that will cut the deficit in half in his first 4 years in office. That's a little bit different than what happened under the Republican president.
I can make Congressman, I can make promises left and right. Now, his goal, meritorious one of that, is to cut the deficit in half in 4 years. But keep spending like this, ain't going to happen.
Well, look, we'll be judged by what the numbers are. The numbers
You're right,
won't lie.
you will be. You will be judged by.
We're putting all of the items that were off budget on budget. The war, emergencies, hurricanes, tornadoes, all of those costs we're putting on budget, so we're making the job even harder to cut it in half. But I believe in our pilot. I think he can land this plane safely.
All right. Well, we'll see if Barack is Sully, or if Sully is Barack, or whatever. Congressman, thank you very much.
Sully will be in the House tonight.
Yes, I know. I can hardly wait. All right. Thank you very, very much. All right. So the big speech tonight, and